"Oh, you mustn't," said Tori, aghast. "I mean, it's so cold up north. I must go to the loo." She had difficulty negotiating the way to the ladies, cannoning off tables and cricketers like a baby elephant. "Oh, hell," thought Jake as she narrowly missed a flying dart. "She's pissed." Tori collapsed on the loo and realised with the shock from the cold slab under her bottom that the seat cover was still down. She lifted it up. If I can manage to go on peeing for over 20 seconds, Jake will take me out again."
Helen, cocooned in the miracle of her new and reciprocated love for Rupert, was unable to imagine him loving anyone else, or any girl queuing up for fat little Humpty. But she had heeded the advice and gone with Rupert to as many shows as possible. Not that this involved much hardship. His caravan was extremely luxurious, and when they went abroad, Rupert insisted on staying in decent hotels, or with rich jet-set friends who seemed to surface crying welcome in every country they visited. But it meant she always had to look her best.
Ben adored Jake, but unlike Tori, she saw his faults. Tori spent hours making quiches and chicken pies for Jake when he was away at shows, which he seldom touched because he got so nervous, and which Tanya, the groom, usually finished up so Tori wouldn't be hurt. Jake never laughed at Tori's jokes, seldom reacted, often didn't answer. She noticed how Tori ended so many sentences with "isn't it?" to evoke some sort of response, how she never answered Jake back. Jake and Fen, on the other hand, had blazing rows.
Helen suddenly felt furious with Nigel and Paul. What right had they to spoil everyone's day? She and Maureen were standing in the field skirting the copse when suddenly Nigel came hurtling out of the wood, followed by Paul. The next minute, Rupert Campbell Black galloped around the corner, riding straight at them, his eyes blazing. "He won't touch the girls!" screamed Nigel, promptly plunging his horn down Helen's new dark green cashmere jersey, stretching the neckband and disappearing over the hedge. "Chivalry will prevent him," he called over his shoulder. Chivalry prevented Rupert doing no such thing. He rode straight up to Helen, reined in the plunging mare, and before Helen could stop him, leaned over, put a warm hand down the front of her jersey, and retrieved the horn.
"Helen, it's Jake. Darling, it was worth the risk to hear the ecstasy in her voice. Where are you?" "At home. I can't talk. I just want you to know I miss you like hell." Suddenly he saw Tori appearing in the doorway. "I'll call you tomorrow. Bye." "Darling," said Tori, "I could have made that call for you." "Think I left my wallet in Humpty's lorry. I had a drink with him at lunchtime." "Your wallet's in the kitchen, silly," said Tori. "You must be tired. It's so sweet you've got that photograph of me from the colour supplement tucked inside it. It's an awful picture. I look so fat."
Next time the bell went, Kev had to unplug himself. Janie staggered to the window. This time it was the Labour Party. "No, you don't need to convince me. You can rely on my vote," she said. "That's done it," said Kev, getting up. "I've got to go anyway." Janie was appalled at how miserable she felt. They had a bath together. "Too small, really," said Kev as he dried himself. "You ought to come in my jacuzzi at Sunningdale. You will one day." Feeling happier, Janie put on her new white dungarees, which just covered her boobs and nothing else. Her newly washed hair divided over her brown shoulders. As she made the bed, she instinctively removed hairs, looking for evidence. she told herself with a giggle. She persuaded him to have a drink before he went. They were in the drawing room when they heard a step outside. Janie went to the window. Expect it's the Labour Party. A Liberal Party. Oh my God, it's Billy. It's all right, said Kev calmly. Billy told me you were depressed and to drop in to cheer you up. I just happened to be in the area.
Rupert looked disapprovingly round the kitchen, which was low-beamed with a flagstone floor and a window looking over the valley. A bridle hung from a meat hook. Every shelf seemed to be covered with spilling ashtrays and unopened bills. We must get a housekeeper. I'm fed up with chaos. It's pointless, said Billy. You'd only employ pretty ones, then you couldn't resist screwing them and they'd get bolshy. Mrs. Burrows is coming in the morning. She'll tidy the place up. Well, I want it straight at weekends. Perhaps we ought to get Nanny back. She'd have a heart attack at the goings-on. Perhaps you ought to get married. Wives are supposed to do this sort of thing. How is your red-haired auntie? Interesting. Very uptight. Not the easy lay you expected. You've put the finger on the spot, said Rupert, draining his whisky, which is certainly more than I did. She's rather sweet, frightfully intense, kept wanting to talk about books and the theatre. Must have tacked your brain. Are you going to see her again? I might. I don't like unfinished business.
Take your nightdress off, he said, without even looking up. Helen sighed and complied. Rupert pulled her towards him, not even bothering to kiss her. I'll be so dry inside, she thought in panic, and he's so huge it's going to hurt. Instinctively her mind and her body went rigid. His cock reminded her suddenly of the grey stone gargoyles jutting hard and ugly out of the walls of the cathedral. What's the matter? Rupert prized her legs open with his hand. Jake, pulling that knife. I can't get it out of my mind. What aspect of it? He said mockingly. Were you turned on by such a macho display on Jake's part, or the thought of being such a rich widow? Oh, stop it, sobbed Helen. Or were you jealous of Fen? She's only a child, gasped Helen as his fingers moved up inside her. It's not fair.
Head hanging, fighting back the tears, white-faced, she cantered out of the ring. Fucking imbecile, said Rupert. You've ruined our chances, said Griselle, her mouth full of hot dog. Fen slid off Macaulay, loosening his girths, giving him his lemon sherbets, whispering, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, and over again. Bad luck, said Sarah. You're not going so well. Melise came up. I hope that won't happen in the second round, he said bleakly. I must not cry, said Flen, and fled to the loo where she was sick for the 15th time that day.
Angel, I'm sorry. I didn't realise it would upset you that much. Go away, she sobbed. I hate you. Shush, shush, he said, taking her in her arms. You'll wake up Griselda from her ugly sleep. Stop it, she said, hammering her fists against his chest as tears spilled down her cheeks. But he was far too strong for her. Next moment he was kissing her quivering mouth. For a second she clenched her teeth together, then suddenly aware of his warmth and vitality, she melted and began to kiss him back. Her hands, against her will, crept up over the powerful shoulders, her fingers entwining in the sleek, thick hair. What the hell are you two doing? Said a voice. Fen nearly went through the ceiling. Rupert didn't move. What does it look as though we're doing? Snapped Rupert.
Isn't that the same young man who picked you up last Sunday? Said one of the female anthropologists, changing her spectacles to have a better look. But Helen had fled upstairs to sob her heart out on the bed. How could Rupert look so cheerful and carefree when she'd been going through such hell waiting for him to call? Lady Pringle indeed, she sobbed, and taking the photograph of Rupert, which she surreptitiously cut out from one of Nigel's horse and hounds out of her diary, she tore it into tiny pieces. He was nothing but a stud.